Beatle people, how's everybody doing? Sorry it's been a hot minute since the last time I made a video. It's really hard to keep up with a channel like this, being a Beatles collector, when you're not going out and collecting. So it's tough to come up with topics to talk about and other things like that. You know, all of my money is being saved for my big Liverpool trip in October for my birthday. So everything is kind of going towards that. I'm working all the time and, not buying records, which is a shame because that's all I want to do is go out and buy things, and I can't. But the reason I'm making this video today, it's actually kind of a response to Mr. Stripey Rambles, probably one of my favorites in the vinyl community. Not that I don't love all of you. I honestly think it's really just his awesome accent that really just gets me in there. I am such a sucker for British accents, no matter what. So big love to you, Stripey. But this is actually because of a video that Beatle Brad made. Beatle Brad, sending lots of love to you, my friend, especially with all the stuff that you're going through. Beatle Brad had made a video that inspired Stripey to make a video called Turn You On to the Beatles. I'm sure I'll put a link or a thingy up in one of these corners or in the description. If you don't subscribe to Brad or Stripey, you should. It's a good time. And basically, Stripey went through the diversity of the Beatles, all the little sub-genres they have, and if you have a certain type of friend that likes certain types of music, they'd like these certain types of Beatle albums. And it got me thinking. As a kid, I got made fun of so bad for loving the Beatles and listening to the oldies music and all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't until high school where people were kind of starting to get on the same level with me, and they're like, oh yeah, I've heard that Beatles song before, I've heard Let It Be, I've heard Hey Jude, I'd like to know more about the Beatles. Caitlin, can you recommend an album for me? What would make me a big Beatles fan? And so, being a teenager in the early 2000s, you have to remember I was born in 1989, and I know a lot of you are going, oh my god, when you were born I was this old. It doesn't matter. I'm taking this from the movie Detroit Rock City, but good tunes is good tunes. So I love that no matter how old you are, the Beatles are for everyone to enjoy. So trying to pick an album for my then, teenage friends to listen to be like, this is it. This is why I love the Beatles. And this is why you should too, is really tough. Because you don't want to give them stuff that's too early. Because it's like, oh, it's so old. It's bubblegum. It's, whatever it is, which sucks because that's personally my favorite era of Beatles is the early stuff. It's so good. I do love everything. Don't get me wrong. There's not a Beatles song that I don't like. Some that I like less than others, but they're all good. And you don't want to get too psychedelic, You don't want them to go, oh my god, this is weird. Goo goo gachoob, what's that? I've dealt with all of that, and especially, as a kid with, my friends like, you like Yellow Submarine? I'm like, hell yeah, I love Yellow Submarine. I will defend Yellow Submarine till the day I die. So the ultimate album, I feel, to get someone who doesn't know a lot about the Beatles into the Beatles is Abbey Road. I feel like it essentially is the, I don't want to say it's the perfect album because it's honestly not my favorite Beatle album. That's a whole other discussion entirely because I don't think I could even choose a favorite Beatle album. Like I said, all my favorite stuff is the early stuff from the Beatles, from 62 to 66. Like, that is just my everything, my favorite. But for some reason, anytime I gave Abbey Road to a friend of mine, it would always be a success. And these are the things that I would tell my friends in high school. And if any of you guys are watching, you can comment and say that this stuff is true, that I have done this to some of you. And you're welcome. I would say, because I only have the CD. I don't even have a vinyl copy. Of course, my parents do. But I would say, take the CD and put on headphones. Make sure you are completely uninterrupted and bring it back to me tomorrow. And I converted, some people into Beatles fans, which is incredible. And a lot of you are probably wondering, well, no, you're probably not even wondering why that album. It's incredible. So first of all, you have a few songs in there that people are already familiar with, so that's always good. Come Together is a huge hit. Something was a huge hit. Here Comes the Sun. Now, though it didn't, wasn't necessarily released as a single, still a huge iconic song. And if any of you guys had to listen to Beatle baby music back in the day, or I remember in the second grade that we actually had to sing Octopus's Garden in school. And actually, funny story about that. I'll never forget, it had, the credits down at the bottom of the little page we had as kids, and it said Richard Starkey on it, and I was like, guys, this is a Beatles song, it's Ringo, and all my classmates are like, what? So, anyway, yes, even when I was in the second grade, I knew it. My parents taught me well. But I feel like Abbey Road is modern. I mean, come on, it's 50 years, and it still holds up. And I'm sure we're going to be talking about that a lot later this year. Of course, we're all anticipating a 50th anniversary reissue of Abbey Road probably sometime in the fall. It's not too psychedelic at all. I mean, probably the weirdest track would be Sun King and Because, which really aren't that weird. They're beautiful songs. It's just, you can't really put it into words, can you? I mean, those harmonies on Because and, Sun King are just incredible. And, the rock songs you have on there, like Come Together, or I Want You, She's So Heavy, or Oh Darling, and of course, don't even get me started on the entire second side of Abbey Road, is just probably one of the most brilliant compositions in modern music history, if you ask me. So, what do you guys think? Do you think Abbey Road is essentially the perfect Beatle album? And like I said, I don't know if I necessarily feel that way about it personally. I mean, it's incredible. There's not a bad song on this album. I remember one time my mom and I were in the car on a long drive, and we didn't have any music with us, and we just sang the entire album all the way through, the two of us, on the entire drive home, so that my mom didn't fall asleep at the wheel. With every little guitar riff and every little drum solo, just voicing it ourselves because we didn't have the album with us. Is before, we could put in the aux cord in the car. But I definitely think if you're going to introduce someone to the Beatles that isn't too familiar with them, that Abbey Road is absolutely the perfect album. And then I feel like you could start working your way backwards. You can go to the White Album, you can go to Magical Mystery Tour and Sgt. Pepper, and maybe you'd have a better appreciation for the psychedelic stuff. And then maybe you can even go farther back with Revolver and Rubber Soul and be like, oh, okay, it's a bit more folky. Oh, there is some psychedelia there. And then you can go back to the pop stuff and just be like, wow, what a diverse and amazing band. I just think that's the way to do it. If you're gonna introduce someone to the Beatles, start with Abbey Road first. Like I was saying before, guys, I want to know what you think. Make a video response. That'd be cool if this was a thread. The perfect album to introduce to people that aren't familiar with the Beatles. Or if you don't make videos, comment. Tell me your thoughts. If this is your first time over here at my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'm close to 600. I'm almost there. So that'd be really cool if we can, make that happen. Definitely check out Beatle Brad and Stripey Rambles if you have not. Give those guys some love because they deserve it. And speaking of love, until next time, as always, peace and love. See ya.